Welcome again to the Blackboard 101 Tips for Teachers series. In this video, I'm going to talk about adaptive release, what it is, why I like it, how to use it, and maybe give you some advice for implementing it. A quick note before I start, if there are any topics that you guys want me to address, either send me an email or leave a note in the comments. At the moment, I'm picking topics that I like purely for my benefit. If there's something you want to know about Blackboard, ask. If I don't know, I will try to find out. I will try to make the video to support you guys. So, we're going to look at two things: the benefits of adaptive release and the implementation of adaptive release. Now, just to explain what it means, adaptive release is when you make a piece of content or you make a quiz, but that content is not available to the students until a certain criteria is met. Now, the most basic form is the date. When we do assessments, you will see that the guys at CDU, they put the quiz in the assessment course, but that quiz will not open until 9 o'clock the next day. That is adaptive release, okay? That's not what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about a different kind of adaptive release. This is the kind where if the student hasn't completed some work, then they cannot access the next work. So imagine you're teaching them about, I'm going to use the example, vocabulary for animals, for nature. And you've studied that in class, you send them away, they need to do the quiz for that to prove to you that they know the content. Now at the end of the week, maybe you're going to give them a quiz on everything you've taught them that week. And you could use adaptive release so that they can't do that end of week quiz until they've finished everything else. It sounds like punishment. I use it a little bit like punishment. But essentially they have to complete the work to progress to the next work. Now, I know with our students we're going to have arguments about this. With my class where I've been using it, I have found it to be semi-successful in motivating the students that fall behind. Now, it doesn't motivate the really unmotivated students. Okay, that is a big problem to solve. This will not solve that. But those students that are kind of scatterbrained, sometimes they forget to do something, they missed a couple of days, but they're generally good students. If you send the class to do quiz 1.3 and that student is like, I can't see 1.3, where's 1.3? And you tell them, you can't see 1.3 because you didn't do 1.2. It kind of motivates them to catch up on the work. And the more you use it, the more I saw with my students that they were catching up on the work before I had to tell them, okay? Because they knew if they came to class and I set a quiz, they wouldn't be able to do it because they haven't done the previous work. And for some of my good but slightly forgetful students, it kind of helped them, and it kind of makes sense, you know. You can't study the more difficult stuff until you've proved you can do the easy stuff. So that's what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to take you through how to set it, and it's really an easy process. So let's go and look at my course. So here we are back in my course, and we can see, okay, that's not a great video shot, but we'll leave that alone. We can see I have a test here, Unit 10, end of unit quiz. And you can see I've already set adaptive release. So the students that have met my condition will see this quiz in their Blackboard. The students that haven't met the condition, it will be invisible. They just can't see it, they can't access it. So I'm going to go back to a time when I wasn't using adaptive release. So let's take a guess and say week 3. Okay, and here we are in week 3, and we can see nothing at all with adaptive release. Okay. Did I make a test this week is the question. I did not. So we're going to look at these two quizzes. We have got quiz 3.3.1 common verbs and quiz 3.3.2 common verbs. I'm going to make the assumption that this first one should be easier and this second one should build off of the first one. In theory, if they can't do this, then they shouldn't do this. So the student that gets like 2 from 10 on this one has no chance of passing this one, in theory. Okay, so I'm going to set 3.3.2 to adaptive release. To do this, click on the little chevron. Edit mode should be on, of course. You will see adaptive release and adaptive release advance. I always use this one, so I'm going to go with what I know and use this one today. Now, to use it, we have to create a rule. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to call it rule 1 because I have no imagination. And then this is rule 1. I have to create the criteria. And like I said, you could do it by date. If you want to release the test on a certain date, this is how you do it. You could do it by their grade on a previous quiz. This is the way I do it. If you've got groups, you can also do it so group 1 can see this quiz, group 2 can see this quiz. I've never used that, so I am going to stick with grade. Now, select a grade center column. On here you're going to find all of the quizzes in the foundation course again. Oof, so many. We're putting the rule on 3.3.2, but we want them to have passed 3.3.1 first. So I'm going to select 3.3.1. Now, if you click this box, it just means that the student has to do 3.3.1 first. The score doesn't matter. So sometimes that's actually a good option. Okay, you just want them to, you could make it that they have to watch your video or they have to do something. Once they've done that, they can do the quiz. You could also change it to their score. So if you want them to score more than 80%, that's the old rule from foundation, I'm not sure if that still applies. I'm going to be kind and say 70%. If they've scored 70% on 3.3.1, they will now be able to do quiz 3.3.2. These numbers are killing me. So now you can see it. Any student that gets 70% is allowed or is able to do this quiz. Anyone that got 60% is not able to do this quiz yet. They have to do this one first, try this one again. Oh, now you got 70%, mashallah, you can do the next one. That's how I use it in Foundation. In Foundation we have a lot of quizzes. If you're watching this and you're a diploma teacher, your usage of this will probably be different because I think you have a lot less quizzes. But you can do certain things like an assignment will not open until they have viewed some content. You can do other different rules. Just to try and release the content at a suitable time. You can do dates, you can do groups, okay, you can do grade in that one as well. And this one, review status, this is the one that they have to have looked at something. They have to have opened your folder to allow them to do the next activity. So I'm going to set this as an example. Okay, I want my students to read this document before they can do the quiz. Okay, so you can select the document you want them to read, and then once they've read that, then the next activity will appear. I'm not sure how useful it will be in Diploma for you. In Foundation, where we have 100,000 quizzes and we go through them in sequence, I like it. I think it's useful. I think it can be motivating. It can hold the student responsible for doing their work, and it can save me from nagging them to do it. It kind of means there's a consequence. If you don't do your work, you can't do the next work. That's a consequence some of them probably want, but what can you do? Okay, thanks for watching. I will catch you next time.